Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efene. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria Tundu, MKO Abiola.
Good morning.
Yes, on a gory note, after the description of what happened by that victim, quite gory. Not something you even wish your enemies, as we say in Africa. Now, but let's start the review with this day. Nigeria's newspaper of record again. Terrorists strike in Zaria as El-Rufai insists there is enough intelligence to prevent attacks. Says DSS has informants everywhere monitoring plans of criminal elements. Hints security agencies have their phone numbers and listen in on their conversations. Queries why security agencies don't attack them first. Declares he is angry, frustrated, and feels totally helpless. Amechi visits victim at Army Hospital, says efforts may return to escorting trains. Yes, as this day captures the recent another attack. Another 48 hours after bombing the Abuja-Kaduna train, killing, maiming, and kidnapping passengers on board. Some daredevil terrorists again invaded a low-cost housing estate in Zaria City, Zaria local government area of Kaduna State yesterday, inflicting on residents and everything on site after allegedly kidnapping some people. So these terrorists are having a field day. Of course, the report goes on that this is as the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, sitting with anger, frustration, and evident helplessness. Yesterday said, with intelligence in the hands of the nation's security agencies, they had all it would take to prevent attacks by terrorists and other criminal elements in the country. Need I say more? Mm-hmm. That is the governor of Kaduna State, who is the chief security officer of his own state. And this is not an allegation. These are facts that he's saying. Why are the security agencies not striking first and allowing these terrorists to terrorize innocent Nigerians who are going about their daily chores, seeking their own livelihood? So now you cannot travel by road. You cannot travel by train. You cannot travel by air, either because it's too costly or because the airlines are saying they don't want to go to certain airports. Let's look at the Guardian newspaper. The lead story also, experts blame government for failure of secure rails. FEC observes minute silence for victims of Abuja-Kaduna train attack. Commuters on Kaduna-Abuja route at mercy of dreaded highway with no rail, air transport. Banditry, terrorism question our capacity to govern. Governors lament. But I will just look at below the masthead of the Guardian for just another story to take our minds off these gory scenes unfolding in our country. Now, the story there, PDP, 13 presidential aspirants emerged as Udom. That's Udom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom. Hayatuddin, who was on our program some time ago, and Ohuabunwa picks forms. So the field of the PDP presidential aspirants is widening by the day. 13 presidential aspirants, that includes Dele Momodu. 13 and counting. But with the entrance of Udom Emmanuel, governor of Akwa Ibom State, Nyesom Wike, governor of Rivers State, the South trying to wrestle the ticket from the Southeast when it comes to the South, if the PDP decide to zone to the South. I don't think so. Perhaps Udom and Wike wants to put further pressure on the PDP to zone to the south. And thereafter, the south will decide the best option. Yes, I listened to that interview with Okwesili Wodo. Eloquent. The best speech for Igbo presidency I've heard in recent times. Of course, the Wodos, you give it to them for their eloquence. Joe Wodo, one-time presidential aspirant. Nian Wodo, of course, Okwesili Wodo. The Wodo brothers, always very eloquent. But the pitch today for Igbo presidency, I'm sure even those who are opposed to it will have to do some rethink. But I don't want to comment on its comparison between APC and PDP because I'm an objective, unbiased arbiter in matters like that. But let's just look at other stories. Ruben, you don't believe me?
No comment.
Now, the leadership newspaper, Senate, asked DSTV, Star Times, others to cut tariffs. Yes, of course, there's been this increase in tariff by these paid TV stations, platforms. In a capitalist society, should you be asking them to cut? If you cannot, you can reduce your bouquet. But again, the Senate wants to be seen to be doing something on that. I don't think that's the most pressing issue for Nigerians, whether you can pay for your DSTV or which bouquet you can pay for. But again, they have intervened. I'm sure some people will welcome that. Now let's look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Yes, the lead story, Kaduna train questions our capacity to govern our governors. But let's look at the stories just below the masthead. Two stories there. 2023 will leverage Buhari's honor, integrity, legacy, says Adamu. Say no more failure in APC. Yes, Abdullahi Adamu, the new chairman of the APC, took over yesterday. And he's saying they will leverage on President Buhari's honor, integrity, legacy going forward. Well, I think the party leveraged on that in 2015. If that's what they want to still leverage on, I wish them good luck. But just before we leave that paper, another story there. 2023, Okukwe withdraws from presidential race, backs Obi. Yes, Ruben, your brother from Abeokuta, from Ogun State. Doyin Okukwe is my friend. I call him one-time attack lion. He threw his heart into the ring, but now he has withdrawn. Former Governor Peter Obi, well, at least Peter Obi now has somebody in the Southwest who will go about recruiting, canvassing for delegates to vote for him. Gentleman Obi, many believes he can do a good job. Now, Vanguard newspaper, the lead story is still on the attack. So let me just dwell on the photograph. Yeah, the photograph on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Yes, Ogiame Atuwashe III, Oluwafori, visiting Abeokuta. There you have the governor of Ogun State, Dakpa Biodun, and of course, the Alake of Egba land, Oba Adedotun Gbadebo. If I were to caption this photograph, I would refer to it as visit to motherland. Yes, because the mother of the Ogiame Atuwashe III is from Abeokuta. She's an Egba woman. The one they call Iolu, that is the mother of the king, the first of his kind in Iwere land. If you ask me, why am I commenting on the palace visit? Yes, there is what we call Gigo Agofen in Warri. You know what it means? Palace watch, introduced by Ogiame Atuwashe III. So that visit there to Abeokuta is visit to motherland. The mother of the king is from Abeokuta. Now, the Nation newspaper, of course, the lead story, train attack, terrorists contact hostages' families. But let's look at that photograph. The family of 6 among those kidnapped by terrorists on Monday in the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. A whole family of 6 boarded the train, assuming they were boarding a very safe transport means. But according to this report, they are all in kidnappers' den. At least they still have their life. So it behoves the government to ensure that everybody kidnapped on that train are rescued alive. And I don't think anybody will be asking for too much. If the government that has failed them so far, securing lives and property, is being asked to go and rescue these people from wherever they have been taken to by these kidnappers. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, security forces failed to act despite intelligence on planned attack. Yes, according to this report, there were intelligence reports available to security agencies that these terrorists were actually planning this kind of attack, but no action was taken to stop them. Well, according to victims, at least they came in after the shooting started. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers quickly, the Times of London. Childbirth is not safe for women in England. Yes, those would like to go and have their babies in the UK. This is a report. Mothers and babies died avoidably in NHS scandal. Yes, the women in England are not safe in childbirth until the recommendations of a report on the NHS worst maternity scandal are implemented in full. Yes, the author of that report, Don Okeden, said that the failure at Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital NHS Trust were not unique. Of course, her 5-year investigation, the report is out, where they looked at 1,862 cases between 2000 and 2019. Not safe to give birth in the UK, but some would still go ahead because of the implication. Now, I will just take us back to Business Day newspaper because this concerns all of us. From $4,000 to zero, banks cut dollar spending on Naira cards. Yes, there was a time you travel out of the country with your BTA. If you are running out of cash, you just bring out your Naira card, slot it, and you get some dollars. Not so anymore. The banks are saying, no more dollar on your Naira card. Ruben, Rufai, and Tundu.
It's an indication of how things have become. But I'd like to comment on this insecurity case. For 3 straight days, or 2 days now, the national dailies have been inundated on their headline with stories of attacks and destruction of life of Nigerians. And we have not heard a word from the presidential spokesperson. Please, Dr. Abati, can you correct me? Tundu, can you correct me?
We've heard from Madam Garbashew.
We've heard a word from Madam Garbashew.
Garbashew has issued statements, at least two.
Two statements.
And then Bashir Ahmad also issued another statement. At least 3 statements.
So they've issued 3 statements. Very good. How many hours after the attack did they issue those statements, sir?
Does it really matter?
No, that of Garbashew came almost immediately, the following day.
The following day after the attack?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And then the president had a meeting with the service chiefs the following day after the incident. Yes.
They gave a matching order.
Matching order. How many of such statements have they issued in this administration?
Too many.
Well, we don't keep records.
We don't keep records. And what has been the result of such statements? Nothing.
Why are you grilling Ruben?
No,
he's no longer in government.
I'm asking
These
for
are
a reason.
rhetorical questions.
It's a rhetorical question.
No, but he looks at Ruben. He looks at Ruben.
We keep giving
As if your
orders, but nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. For as much matching order we've given in this country, lives have been lost. You see, there's something called a feel of an event. When terrorists attack France, We saw on live TV how the French government and the French gendarmerie shut down France just to get that terrorist. When they did the same, Zonkan Zanaev, the young man that attacked the city in America, and his brother, we saw how they shut down the city just to fish that one man out.
What, Boston?
Boston. Zonkan Zanaev, the Boston bomber. But in Nigeria, we give statements. We say we will give marching orders, but nothing has been done. Look at the governor, helpless. A governor of a state can come out and indict the federal government of the government where it belongs.
Even ministers in the administration are
The
indicting the
ministers
administration
are indicting the administration
for not doing what they ought to do
for not doing
to
what they
prevent
ought to
cases
do.
like this. That
And
was Rotimi
we keep
Amishi's
passing the
position.
buck. If we truly are serious, I think we should have gathered thousands of troops now, combing those forests, fighting for the dignity of the country. It is sad to say this. The dignity of Nigeria has been trampled upon.
Completely.
Just so nobody will come tomorrow and say, well, actually, those terrorists were just passing by and they stumbled on the train coaches. But I wanted to draw attention to the editorial of this day newspaper at page 28. It's titled, "The Lagos Airport International Terminal. Some remedial measures are needed for optimal performance." This was the same
The brand new terminal, is that what you're talking
international terminal
Yes,
That
it
is your
has-
President commission.
Yes, with all
last
the...
day.
Then it is attracting a very critical editorial. And if you read the editorial is saying that the project is too expensive, is too deficient,
It's not fit for
it
purpose,
is not
apparently.
fit for purpose, and that the location itself is not okay. And over $600 million was spent on it.
On that project.
And
You
yet,
see?
it's of no use to anybody. I think, beyond this editorial, because the editorial is saying there are issues with the new terminal. It is considered structurally deficient.
Before Uncle.
The location not ideal. And the cost is quite enormous, if not scandalous. And it goes on and on and on and on about how this is a funny project. And yet, the president commissioned it with fanfare. I think the minimum that we can ask for, beyond this editorial, is that there should be an investigation. Who wasted money?
Who is going to
set up-
investigate it?
To set up a whole structure
So that leads me
will be
to
of
my
no
point.
use to anybody.
That leads me to my point. Who's going to investigate it? It should be the National Assembly. And that's what you were saying earlier, Mr. Feni, and we started the show on that note of the Deputy Speaker complaining about the no-show by the service chiefs. I think that is also scandalous. We need to understand that we are running well, I want to say democracy, but this is a civilian regime. I don't know if we're quite at the level of democracy. But we have to get over this post-military hangover where everybody just looks to the executive and doesn't understand that the legislature is also a co-equal arm of government. If you are invited, you must show up. There's nothing that you have to do.
Could they be very busy in
No,
the light
let
of
me
these
finish.
security
Let me
breaches?
finish. I really don't care. If you're invited and you cannot come, you should say beforehand that you will send a representative. Not that you just don't show up and a representative show up in your place. Beforehand, have some respect. Those are the representatives of the people. You must go and you must account for what you have done. And it's their constitutional duty, that oversight function. I think it's extremely disrespectful and it has to stop. You're so busy, which is why people are getting killed on board a train. It's ridiculous and it must stop. We cannot continue like this. Oh, well, we need to go and have a meeting with the president as if the National Assembly is nothing. They represent us, the people. It's wrong.
Okay, let's hope they will show up today.
Yeah.
If they don't show up today, then we'll find out again what the National Assembly will say. However, when you invite people from the executive arm of government, they also need to secure permission from the president that they work with directly.
Well, they must get that permission because it's the people calling you to account. It is the people.